Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. Plarium announced today that a Yuletide Deck of Fate event is going to start on Monday, and the main reward from that Deck of Fate event is Hilvi, the rhyme chord. So a wonderful dwarf legendary support champion, force champion. So in this video I'm going to take a look at, do you want this? Well, yeah, you kind of do. And then how realistic is it to get this? What does it take? How do you need to prepare? And can you do this and the fusion at the same time? So let's take a look at some details. First, thank you Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video and for giving me this wonderful promo link down below in the description there in the QR code. A new account with Tagoar at the start, then Venomage at 15, Uugo at 30, Deacon Armstrong at 40, the best possible start to raid. And this Yuletide Deck of Fate event for Hilvi. So starts on Monday, December 22nd. It lasts for 96 hours, so it lasts until Friday. And you will get points from summoning souls from Soulstones and for getting artifacts and accessories, which means gear hunters basically. There are 21 cards in the deck that contain Hilvi fragments, and you need to collect all of those cards in order to summon Hilvi. Otherwise, all the remaining fragments will be useless to you, and then, well, you will eventually trade them for those fragment chests. But yeah, you need to get those. Decks always have 40 cards, so you need to basically open the full deck. I'll show you some math about that later. Hilvi itself, Hilvi is a dwarf force legendary support champion. Hilvi has freeze, Hilvi removes buffs, Hilvi revives your full team. There's some crazy synergies also for Hilvi Tormin the Code. So when Hilvi does stuff, then Tormin is also always going to do some ally stuff as well. So Tormin the Code is a past Christmas event champion, Void legendary, so really hard to get outside of guaranteed events. There have been 2 guaranteed events previously where Tormin has been available, so if you have played raid on either of those and you have received Tormin, then Hilvi is even better because that synergy is pretty crazy. But Hilvi can be a strong controlling force even without Tormin, and actually in control role Hilvi is going to be better than Yukimasa, the ongoing fusion champion, although the fusion champion is a lot cheaper. So very good control champion, but decks are expensive to complete. However, there isn't really a big choice between whether you do this deck or whether you do the fusion, because this is a Soulstone deck. So you get points mainly from Soulstones, and fusion doesn't use Soulstones at all. There are no events in the fusion that use Soulstones for anything, so all Soulstones are free to use for this deck. The only shared resource between the fusion and the deck is energy, because there's the Gear Hunters component in this deck, and of course then you can use energy to also get points, and energy is also needed for the fusion. However, there's even some synergy because there's going to be a finite tournament for the fusion during this deck, and then you can do the Gear Hunters component while you do finite, so some synergy there. And decks also require far more energy than fusions. So fusions you can pretty much do with what you get, but then deck requires a lot more, so they don't really compete against each other in that sense either. There's sadly no event dungeon right now. Event dungeon would be the best for Gear Hunters points, so we're looking at up to 42,000 energy, 13,000 gems to complete the deck with energy alone, doing either normal 16 for 0.94 points per energy or normal 20 for 0.938 points per energy. So basically the points values are the same, although we don't have the final point values yet, so that can change, and there has been some significant variance in these sometimes, so maybe it can go lower than that, but you're looking at around 40,000 energy unless you have some Soulstones. If you have some Soulstones, then how many Soulstones? That also varies, because Soulstones in these decks, they sometimes give 6,600, 3,000 points for Mortal, Immortal, Eternal, and sometimes they give up to 9,900, 4,500. The Raphael deck, for example, was 7,700, 3,500. So there's variance on how many points you get per soulstone that you open, and you can get more points because soulstones give you soul coins, and they give you souls which you can then sell, and those give you soul coins, and with soul coins you can buy more soulstones. So if there's, for example, a 60-point mortal soulstone, then it's also going to give you 12 points worth of coins just for opening them, because every 10 mortals you open you get some coins, and it's going to give you an average of 24 points from selling the souls. But that's a little bit problematic sometimes, because the variance in how good your souls are, it's huge. So sometimes you just get tons and tons of coins or useful souls for the champions, and sometimes you get just a bunch of 1 stars and get barely anything. But on average, a mortal soulstone that would be nominally worth 60 points is actually worth 96 points. So yeah, there's a lot of questions on how many soulstones does it actually take. And it scales depending on point values of the specific event, of course, as well. So if we have a 9900 4500 event this time, for example, then obviously the soulstones are worth a lot more. And they're worth even more if there happens to be an X2 event. None has been announced yet, so I guess it's unlikely that Plarium would give us an X2 event together with the deck, although maybe they could do that for Christmas. It's not completely out of the question. So now if you're thinking, do you have enough energy? Do you have enough soulstones? Well, how many cards do you actually need to open from the deck? Do you really need full deck? And yes, pretty much you do. No magic required for that one. Put 21 cards into a deck of 40 cards. Ask someone to get all of those by flipping 1 card at a time. And the cumulative probability to find all 21 Hilvi fragments, it's basically non-existent before your 35th pull when it's a little bit over 1%, and then 36 4.24%, 37 cards 9.8%, so 1 out of 10 people will receive it within 37 around, so 1 out of 5 will receive it within the first 38, less than half will have Hilvi after 39. More than half of people who open cards from this deck will need to open every single of the 40 cards in order to get Hilvi, and there's no weights needed, nothing special is needed for this. This is just pure math on a randomized deck. So is Hilvi worth it? Yeah, Hilvi is a pretty sweet champion, and if you have Thaumin, then you absolutely, you really want this. This is like Kroghead and the Packmaster, Hilvi and Thaumin turtles together. So there are these really powerful synergies, and that would really do something. Hilvi alone, still a pretty strong control champion, and there's always a chance that you will pick up Thaumin later. Although Thaumin is a void legendary, so if there's no guaranteed event for Thaumin, it is really hard to pick up. So Hilvi alone, still a strong champion. Decks are sadly really expensive, but if you have the resources, Hilvi is a good champion to get, even more so if you already have Thaumin. And if you already have Thaumin, then you probably have played Raid for some time, and that means that you probably have more resources, so then Hilvi is going to be easier for you to get, and then it's just all makes sense and comes together really beautifully. So yeah, really strong champion in the deck. This time the deck champion looks like it's even stronger than the fusion champion. That hasn't actually been the case nearly every time. Often the fusion champion at Christmas, like Nishak for example, has been stronger than the deck champion. But well, this time it goes like this, and some really sweet freeze abilities available. I personally don't have a lot of freeze champions on my accounts anyway, so I really want freeze. I'm desperate to get some freeze, so Yukimasa great for me, and Hilvi also great for me, so we'll see. If I can make the ends meet, I will try to pursue Hilvi, but decks are difficult. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.